Welcome to today's lecture. We will continue to learn the introduction of medical immunology. Today we will learn some basic theory of medical immunology. As you know, the immune system is responsible for fighting against the invaders. And the process of the fighting is called immune response. There are two forms of immune response, the innate and adaptive. When the pathogens invade into our body, usually innate immunity will take response quickly. They form the first line of defense. There are a lot of cells, such as the NK cells, dendritic cells, neutrophils, and macrophage, as well as some effector molecules, such as the complement cytokines. They are involved in the stage of the innate immunity. It usually occurs within the first hours and days after infection. And the immune cells express the receptor. Those receptors combined with the pathogens. But those receptors cannot distinguish very small differences among different pathogens. So innate recognition is non-specific. If the infection cannot be cleared by innate immunity, and adaptive immunity will be triggered. So in compare with the innate immunity, adaptive immunity will take effect in a little bit late phase. And adaptive immunity and innate immunity, they didn't work independently. They need to cooperate with each other. On one hand, the innate immunity can release the stimulatory signal for activate T lymphocyte, which is very important effector cells in adaptive immunity. For example, the dendritic cells encountered with some pathogen, and they will take up the pathogen inside of the cells and produce degraded the pathogen into small pieces, and then present those peptides for activation of the T lymphocyte. Then T cells will become effector cells to fight against the pathogens. On the other hand, the adaptive immunity also can enhance the effectiveness of the innate immunity. Some kind of cells in the innate immunity will always involved in the effector phase of the adaptive immunity. So they cooperate very well. In our video lecture series, we mainly focus on the adaptive immune response. In this process, there are two very important cells, B cells and T cells. Those are important effector cells in adaptive immune response. Once they receive the stimulatory signal, those cells can be activated. They can produce so many identical cells, and this process is called proliferation. There are two forms of the adaptive immunity, the humoral and the cellular. In the humoral immune response, the B lymphocyte will develop into the plasma cells and secreting a protein which is called antibody. The antibody combined with the antigen specifically and mediated some important functions. In the type of the cellular immune response, T cells will proliferate and differentiate into effector T cells. Those T cells can fight against the pathogen directly. To be noted here that a small portion of the T cells, B cells, they will grow into a membrane cell. Membrane cells exist in our body. They have memory. That means they can remember what kind of the antigen they have met before. So once again they met with the antigen the second time, those membrane cells, they can quickly fight against the pathogen, and they can efficiently remove the pathogens. So this is called immunological memory. Just because of the immunological memory, we can use the vaccine to prevent the disease. And in adaptive immune response, T cells, B cells, they express this unique receptor, which is different from the receptor expressed by the innate immune cells. T cells, B cells express the receptor. They can distinguish the subtle differences among different molecules. So adaptive immune response is specific immune response. There are three functions of immune system. The first one is immunological defense. When the pathogen invades into our body, and our immune system is responsible for fighting against those pathogens. This effect is called immunological defense. Except that our immune system also exhibits some other functions: immunological surveillance and immunological hemostasis. As you know, in our body, some cells they mutate into the tumor cells, and some cells become old, and finally they will die. Those tumor cells, aging cells, and dead cells, they are harmful or useless for us, so they should be removed from our body. Our immune system is responsible for their elimination. So this is called immunological surveillance. And our body is in a state of balancing by a very important mechanism, which is called immune regulation and immune tolerance. So we are very healthy. So this function is called immunological homeostasis. And finally, I would like to emphasize that the immune system is not always doing things good for us. Sometimes, if the abnormal immune response takes place, they will cause the disease. They will break up the balancing of the state. So in our body, we have different type of the immune response, different kind of the cells and molecules. They must cooperate with each other very well. We have a fine and dedicated regulatory mechanism to ensure that they can work very well. So that is the functions of the immune system. It keeps us healthy. That's all for today. Thank you for your attention.